This is a Nintendo Switch. These are the Joy-Cons that normally come with it. These are the Hyperion Pro controllers from NYXI. And finally, what this video is about is the Hyperion 2 controllers from NYXI. I received both of these controllers for free from NYXI, and as part of that, I get to give you 10% off with code COOP, but this isn't sponsored. My opinions are my own, and I'm gonna tell you if these are bad. I've already reviewed these Hyperion controllers, so let's focus on these guys here. I'm going to talk about all of the features that both Hyperions have, and then we'll move on to the new features or the differences. Like with the Hyperion Pro controllers, these snap easily into your Nintendo Switch like so, and that connects them to your device so that you can use it handheld and have that nice ergonomic grip. These also don't have a lot of wiggle, whereas the Hyperion Pros did have a little bit more wiggle. We can see a little bit more wiggle there than there is on the Hyperion 2s. They work wirelessly and can power on your Nintendo Switch just by holding the power button, and they have 6-axis gyro controls, as we can see here. Now it is a little odd because I've got them disconnected at this point, but you can see that it's working. I can even turn just one and get pretty good control here. Or just the... It actually doesn't work with the left one. That's interesting. I wonder if it works in Mario games and stuff. While I wait for Mario Kart to load, there is a couple of things I will mention. These are missing NFC support, as well as the HD rumble. They do have vibration, just not HD rumble. So looking at it here, we can actually control both of our characters with motion control. So they do both have motion control. It just was only using one of them for motion control in Zelda just there. Both of these have Hall effect joysticks, so you're not gonna get drift. So that's something you don't have to worry about. We've also got the turbo feature, so I've just got that set to Y, and it's just going to make it attack over and over again. And the mappable back buttons, so we can go ahead and program those as well here, so we can set it to do whatever we want it to in whatever order. There we go, we're going in order. I'm not touching any buttons of what we just told it to do. There we go. Or you can also just go ahead and set that to a single button. So there we go, I've now mapped this to be just my attack button. I can make it attack repeatedly or just a single time. However, the turbos, macros, and mappable buttons correspond to one single Joy-Con. So this button can only map to buttons on this Joy-Con, while this button can only map to buttons on this Joy-Con. But now let's talk about some of these standout features. One of the things that I absolutely love is the RGB on these controllers. They look absolutely gorgeous and so much better than they did on the Hyperion, with so much more color variety, such smoother lighting. As you can see here, those look really nice, and we love the RGB on these. The Hyperion Pros do have RGB. It's just a little bit more tame and not as nice looking and crispy as these are. But let's talk about some of the bigger differences. One huge thing is that these actually have magnetic removable faceplates, so I can just pull that off just like that and it will click back on. Now, NYXI doesn't currently sell any replacements for these. They don't have any other styles, and I haven't been told when they will be getting them. This is a nifty idea, but right now there's not anything for you to actually switch it to or refresh it to. So until that comes, it's an interesting feature, but doesn't mean a whole lot to me until we've got something actually to replace it with and make it look cool. Another huge difference between these two controllers is the buttons. The Hyperion 2 now comes with micro switches, so you can hear that. You can hear how nice that sounds, how clicky it is compared to that. It's a little bit mushy. It does not feel as nice to push. It doesn't sound as nice to push. And these buttons were actually one of my biggest complaints about the Hyperion Pro controllers, is that I didn't like how these buttons were. They took a long time to press. They were a little bit mushy. And it was like my only complaint really about the Hyperions, and they have fixed that in the Hyperion 2s. Another big difference is that we have ditched the D-pad from the Hyperions in favor of just the normal buttons, so we're going back to that Joy-Con style. You can also see that we've gone back to the Joy-Con style with the way that it's shaped. We've got that nice rounded one instead of the bulging out corner here. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of this. I liked the bulging out corners on the Hyperion Pros. It made it very comfortable to hold your Nintendo Switch, made it feel more like a normal controller. And I love how comfy this is to hold. Whereas sliding our Hyperion 2s onto the Switch, It is a little bit less long because we don't have those protruding shoulders, but it's also not as comfortable for me personally to hold. I liked that jutting out. Gave me a nice, it felt nicer. It felt nicer to me. These still feel nice. It is still comfortable, but I do think that ergonomics wise, they were onto something better with the Hyperion Pros. Either way though, it is 1,000 times better than just using the normal Joy-Cons, and I will choose these any day over normal Joy-Cons for handheld play. That missing angle also contributes to how it feels when you're holding it as a single Joy-Con to play half with somebody. If you wanted to do 2 players, you could hand this Joy-Con off to somebody, grab the other one and play. Now, I personally, again, think that the Hyperion Pros had a more comfortable ergonomic grip when playing with only half of it as well. I actually think the Nintendo Switch controllers might be a little bit better. They're a little bit small, but both of these are a little awkward. This one, without that indent right there, it just doesn't leave you with anything to hold. You can slide on one of these and that makes it a little bit better, but it's still like you're holding this butt here and it's not quite as nice just with the way that I hold them sideways. Another big difference that we've got is that the Hyperions had this big gouging out point back here, whereas the new Hyperion 2s are completely smooth. So they've gone ahead and removed that butt, that awkward jutting area out there, which I do like. I think that makes things a lot nicer. But we're missing yet another feature. The Hyperion Pros actually had removable, swappable joysticks, and they had these nice metal rings that I really liked that went around the edge to kind of help prevent some of the damage from rubbing, whereas these ones do not have the metal rings and they are not swappable sticks. So we are stuck with just these sticks, this height, this design. This is what you have. While I do like it, it feels nice. It's actually, I think, pretty much the same design that I ended up using on the Hyperion Pros. That is some custom ability that you are losing with the Hyperion 2s. Yet another thing that we're losing is out of the box, the Hyperion Pros actually came with a little connector to connect them together so that you can use them as a unified controller outside of having them handheld on the Switch. And these ones came with pretty much nothing out of the box. They came just like this. There wasn't a charger included. There was a user's manual and a carrying case. So here we've got the carrying case, which is actually really nice. I like having this carrying case. They slip in here nicely, keep them protected while you're traveling. But I just don't understand why we don't get that connecting brick when we had it for this one. Now you can go ahead and use this to connect the Hyperion 2s together. I have tried this out because I happen to have it. They are a little bit stiff sliding in, but it does work and it is pretty comfortable to hold like this. To be honest, I like it a lot like this. But with this one that came with the Hyperion Pros, it doesn't actually fit into the case. Now I haven't needed a charging cable for these, though the Hyperion Pros did come with one. Just like the Hyperion Pros, I just go ahead and connect them to my Switch and dock it, and that goes ahead and charges the Joy-Cons. So what's my overall opinion? Well, the Hyperion Pros are about $15 cheaper, and I really enjoyed this. The ergonomics are slightly better here, in my opinion, than they are on the 2s, but these buttons were a big issue for me. The RGB is not as cool, so you get to update to that cool RGB, and the micro switch buttons and micro switch triggers, which I don't think I noted on, which is very nice comparatively to these ones, are a little bit squishier and not as nice. Ultimately, you're looking at better RGB, more responsive micro switch buttons, and those magnetic faceplates for an upgrade of about $15 over the Hyperion Pros. They are very responsive, feel high quality, and are a joy to use. I think these only come into about $10 more than the official Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and for that price, they are absolutely worth upgrade. Either way, these NYXI Joy-Cons make playing your Nintendo Switch handheld so much better, and they work separately from the Switch, which is fantastic. So if you want to pick yourself up either a pair of the Hyperion Pros or a pair of the Hyperion 2s, go ahead and use the link in the description or go to their website and use code COOP. But hey, this playlist right here will take you through all of our controller reviews to help you find the controller that is best for you, whether it's something cheap, whether it's the ultimate pro controller. I cannot wait to see you in this playlist. I love you guys. Y'all are awesome.